your morning addiction.
That those brave, courageous women are treated with dignity and respect.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Bypass the Democrats' filibuster in the United States Senate.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
What they were doing, we do, but it comes with the territory. And if you want to do a great job, I really believe that. And you take a look at what's happened to some of our greatest presidents, and it doesn't happen to people that don't do anything. And it's not going to deter me from winning the war in Iran. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I really don't think so, based on what we know. But we're going to continue to do a great job. That's all I can do.
Well, that was President Trump, all in his tux and black tie, and surrounded by all of the other president's men the other night after the White House Correspondents' Dinner attempted assassination, which, of course, was thwarted by Secret Service. That's the talk of the town, the talk of the state, the talk of the nation, as we open up on this stormy, thunderstormy Monday morning. Welcome in to Wake Up Missouri. I'm Randy Tobler. Stephanie Bell, just back from D.C., right?
Yeah, a lot of people were checking in on me yesterday saying, are you at that dinner? And I was not at the dinner. I was hunkered down in my basement last night, though, with these storms rolling through. But I have been to events at that Hilton. They actually call it the Hinckley Hilton because, of course, that's where I told someone, they're like, where's your event? This was when I was headed there. I said, oh, it's at this Hilton. And they said, the Hinckley Hilton? And I said, yep, that's the one. So we had our Federal Society dinner there, and of course all of the justices attended. And there was, I'm shocked, Randy, to hear that folks were saying, well, we just had these paper tickets and you just kind of walked right in and it was really fast. Because anytime I'm going to one of these, I know I'm going to wait. And that one, it ended up, we got lucky in that we basically got stuck in the happy hour part of the hotel. And the dinner was delayed because they were, I think if you're an event organizer, there's always kind of sort of this, and I think their technology went down, but we had like phone QR codes that were specific to us. And I think the issue was for a while, the technology was overloaded or it wouldn't work. So they were having trouble getting people in the door. Not that there was an actual, threat of some sort. But again, there's this balance between having to get that many people in the door and making it safe. And people said basically they had a paper ticket, which you could pass off to anybody. And of course, the other thing people have identified is it's a hotel and people stay there. And so it's hard to secure, I guess, in that hotel, one part of the hotel from the other. And so oftentimes you'll see them pick hotels. I went to CPAC for many years. It's at the Gaylord in D.C. And even one time it was during COVID, they put it down in Florida. And I hate that D.C. hotel because it's huge, but they do it for security reasons. And there's this weird like hallway with escalators that runs down the middle. And whenever the big people are there, you basically can't get from, as a hotel guest, get into the other side where the event's happening without clearing all of the security. And I'm thinking, for that event, you had to go. I had to wear a badge that had my photo on it the entire time. They were constantly checking it, those types of protocols. So you wonder, who was in charge and who made the plan, and didn't seem like a very good one.
It's hard to know exactly what's the truth, because Bill Malugin, I think, was the one that was reporting that he was so disappointed. On the other hand, in the comments following Bill Malugin of Fox News second-guessing the security, and he wouldn't misreport that, there were pictures, there was a video of them taking people's IDs and, going through, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember one time at CPAC, we had these long emails and get in line super early, and it's going to be, and, it even changed like the morning of, and I think they had said you could have a tiny bag, and then they decided, no, you can't have anything. And so I had a dress with no pockets, and I had to basically check my purse. And I remember I had like a $1 bill, my ID, and a chapstick in my hand. Yeah. And that's what I went to this event with. And
it was last week that Donald Trump wanted to bring back the firing squad. I'm thinking this would be a good start.
He's going to be in court today.
Well, I'm just saying it would be a really good start and send a message to would-be assassins and kids living with their parents. I think the worst thing ever happened to violence, one of the worst things, was the Obamacare that allowed people to have their parents' insurance till they're 26. They don't have to get out. This guy's living with his parents. He's got a master. He's a mechanical engineer. He's living in his parents' basement. He's spending way too much time in his own little fantasy world on his video games and everything else. And it's easy to get radicalized. So what are you laughing at, Drake? It's true. I'm sorry, these guys.
You can't just say it's true and then it's like, oh, it's facts, guys. Sorry. I mean, I heard it. I read it in a book once. I mean, no.
I do think it's like because he wrote the manifesto, then he emailed it to his family. I think the family alerted the police because they got it just ahead of time. But like his whole thing was like, the world is going, in the wrong direction, and I'm going to be the savior.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes a special kind of delusion.
Well, but don't you think that the whole video game, I'm not saying everyone that plays video, of course not. That's absurd. I'm not saying that.
But because you play GTA
the landscape, when you're in your own little video world and you can get shot and you can shoot people and you're at no real risk, and then you can just relaunch and just press reset again, in the right setting, at the right way, in the right time, with the right mindset and crazy mindset, it doesn't take much for you to then interpret that to your own delusional, irrational, real life. I mean, I just don't, I'm sorry, I think some of these, there's a connection there. I really believe that.
Crazy people are going to be crazy, Randy. I don't think games have changed that at all. I mean, did Lee Harvey Oswald play the Nintendo when he was a kid? I mean, of course, that's before the time. But first it was rock and roll. People said that was making people demonic and all that. And then
rap
it was
music.
Then it was Dungeons and Dragons. Then, these TV shows are too scary or whatever. And now it's games.
So you don't think that
now it's AI.
Since Ferguson, you don't think that there's been an upswing in normalization of violence and just acting out? If I disagree with you and I think that you're a bad person, then I can just take you out?
No, Drake is saying not that there's been an upswing in violence. He's saying he probably agrees with that. He's saying it's not due to video games.
You don't think that there's some cultural influence on? So all of a sudden, more people have just become crazy? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, have you seen Congress?
It's a genetic thing?
Yes, they're not only more violent, they're more stupid.
No, wait a minute, but that doesn't happen. That's not a genetic evolution thing that doesn't happen without cultural influence.
It's not video games.
Oh, so obesity, suddenly the obesity gene has suddenly become evolutionarily by natural selection.
Are you saying people are fat
culture
because
has
of
nothing to
video
do with
games?
it. You got to be kidding me.
I'm confused. Are people fat because of video games?
No, I'm making an analogy. The genetics for fatness haven't changed. It's the way that people are influenced. It's the culture around us that for certain people in increasing amounts, look at them storming the streets throughout our nation.
I don't think people are genetically predisposed to assassinate people, but I think, like Drake pointed out, I think in our history teaches us that it's not the video games.
You don't?
I think there are people who are genetically and probably some form of nurture predisposed to mental illness.
Nurture. You just made my point. There is a cultural permissiveness about violence. That's all I'm saying. And it's multifactorial. I'm not saying it's just video games. But there is something about violence.
A lot of rhetoric on social media that a lot of these people who are half a bubble off or buy into.
Now, here's the problem. This guy's going to probably get off on some crazy defense, right? Some crazy lawyer's going to make some kind of a defense that he's insane and therefore he's not fit for trial, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I mean, I'm sorry, firing squad. Early, quickly, get it done. And maybe for some of the people, they need to be incarcerated in a mental institution that...
like John Hinckley was for years.
Look at the people that are saying... Look at the people on the line that are saying this was a staged event, false flag in order to get approval for Trump's ballroom. There's one video. Listen to this. This is great. Someone posted this.
He is ready to rumble. I will tell you, this speech tonight will be classic Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great.
So someone actually alleged that Caroline Leavitt called the shooting before the White House Correspondents' Dinner, as she's referring to his planned speech where he was going to go after the media, and said, someone called not your average liberal. Well, actually, you probably are the average liberal because you're freaking crazy. This is nothing more than another staged assassination attempt, they said, because Trump and Republicans' approval ratings are S word. There'll be another staged assassination attempt before midterms.
I don't think that's true.
People are posting that.
Well, those are the same people that we were just talking about that are delusional.
Now that the EAS is over and I can actually respond, I don't think that it's like, I don't think there's more violence necessarily. Well, there is more violence. I think the amount of crazy people has stayed the same. I think that social media has just kind of given these people a voice. Before, if you were a weirdo or like one of these people that would do this stuff, you're probably living alone and like not, you don't have anyone to tell about this. You don't have any like motivation or anything. Now you see liberals online saying, oh, Trump's the devil, Trump's the devil, Trump's Hitler, Trump's all this other stuff. And you're like, you know what? This is where I can make my claim. This is where I can make a difference.
I don't think you can use an anecdotal assassination in the 1800s to defeat an argument that says there is cultural permissiveness, there is lassitude and complacency. Guys, especially young men that should be out bucking bales and doing some work, are sitting in their parents' basement not doing anything. And for the wrong person on the wrong time with the right influence, this is what happens.
Angela agrees on the text line with your statement that it was, I think, multifactorial. She said she doesn't think it's just about the video games. She said there's a lack of Jesus and a lack of punishment, severe punishment for severe crimes, which I think I've heard you argue several times.
Everything, yeah. But I think it is a cultural change. We've seen a cultural shift. And while they're not all ending up in assassinations, I mean, look at the violence in the streets. People think you can go and just be in a cop's face and throw a frozen water bottle at him. I mean, no punishment, no accountability, no big deal. Of course, it's not just the video games, but I think that's part of a cultural decay that we have that's allowing this kind of behavior. Anyway, that's my opinion. What's yours? 573-874-9390. Call me, 800-529-5572. We're going to be talking with Tony Kinnett, the national correspondent for the Daily Signal at 7:35. Why? He was in the room. Back with the Daily DC Rundown.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
are flying. And I said, we're not doing this anymore. We have all the cards. If they want to talk, they can come to us or they can call us.
President Donald Trump there. Here's Stephanie with the Daily DC Rundown.
Well, as we've been talking about, it was a chaotic weekend in Washington. Beyond the shooting, peace talks collapsed with Iran. We've got Congress heading into what some lawmakers are calling Hell Week, and we have a royal visit scheduled. So first, President Trump has called off sending U.S. diplomats to Pakistan for the next round of peace talks. Iran refused to meet directly with the U.S. They wanted Pakistan to act as a middleman. So Iran's foreign minister left Pakistan early, and we didn't even send Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. They didn't even make the trip. And again, Trump said, we have all the cards, they have none. Peace talks are stalling. I know we have plans to talk with Fox News' Evan Brown at 8:30 to get the latest. We are also out of D.C. hearing that Senator Tom Tillis says he's no longer blocking the nomination of Kevin Warsh to be the Fed chair. His hearing, of course, was last week, and this comes because Tillis was mad about the Justice Department, their investigation into Jerome Powell. They've called that off for now, but others are saying we should continue that. Specifically, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro says that the investigation could come back should new facts emerge. But for now, it looks like Kevin Warsh is set to be the next Fed chair. And of course, this is really important because that influences our interest rates and all of those high prices we have been paying are tied essentially to whatever the Fed does. We've talked about the shooting. Randy mentioned that there are conspiracy theorists out there who are saying it was all staged. And a lot of that comes because folks right as soon as the shooting was happening was saying, this is why we need the ballroom. And of course, took a little tour of DC and there's a lot of construction going on, a lot of cranes, but there's no construction happening at the ballroom because of course the court had paused that. So there's just a bunch of gates up and you have to take kind of a circuitous route around. And you don't get a very good view of the White House from that angle. So that's on pause. I wonder if this latest event will shake that loose, but I think it really should. We talked about it early on that that's important and that it gives the president the ability to have secure events. And despite like the bad timing, right? I am not throwing out any conspiracy theories here. I think the White House Ballroom project should continue, and I think it's a good one. As we look at what's going on in D.C. this week, one lawmaker is calling it Hell Week. They've got a lot going on. FISA is going to expire. This is the surveillance powers provision known as Section 702. It allows the government to monitor foreign targets without a warrant. But there's a question about whether Americans' communications get swept up with that. And so that's on the table. Also on the table is spending and immigration. Republicans, of course, are split on this new funding bill. Some people want a skinny version focused on the border, and others want a much larger package. So they have a busy week. And then today, King Charles is visiting. Now, apparently there was a lot of discussions yesterday after the attempted assassination over the weekend. The visit is meant to celebrate our 250th anniversary. He's set to give an address to Congress. He has a state dinner planned with President Trump. He's going to New York and Virginia. That's all scheduled, but kind of in the background is Prince Andrew and the Epstein stuff. So whether that conversation will bubble up, we will see.
And he's still planning on the China trip, right? I haven't heard that's been called off.
I haven't heard, yeah.
Amidst everything going on. It's really wild. I read over the weekend someone thinks that the whole Iranian thing is really the China play, which you never know. The way Trump plays ball, it's always... and I think that, it's a testament to him. Here he is after really what could have been a tragic event. And he's thinking forward about the big picture, right? He took advantage of it to talk about the ballroom. Good for him. When we come back, who's crazier, the left or the right?
I think
Growing up in New York, I was always in rooms with liberals who just assumed I agree with them because I'm liberal passing. What I realized sitting in all those rooms is that liberals, they think that things are copacetic. You know, when we're in an office, you have a friendship with someone who has different political opinions than you do. They think it's because they're forgiving us for being evil. But what they don't realize is we're forgiving them for being retarded.
Well, that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it, in America 2026? We think they're just like out of it, totally out of touch with reality.
That's what you got out of this?
They think we're evil. No, I mean, she's a conservative.
This is awesome. The R word is back, guys. It's never been more back than now.
Do you realize that's a toxic word now, right? Because then you're insulting the disabled, right? If they're, cognitively, if they're intellectually challenged, right? Then you can't use the R word.
Okay, Snowflake Randy this morning.
Well, but what I'm saying is, irrespective of her using the retarded word, I think it's fair to say that we do really look at them and say, do you have your thinking cap on right? When you look at, you really like open borders, and then you see, Lake and Riley, and you see the young lady in Houston, the teenager, the woman up in the Northeast. I mean, how many of these do we chronicle now? When you see the violence in the streets and you go you guys are good with this? You're good with endorsing this? Are you out of your minds? And they think we're just pure evil. I mean, just look at the Twitter thread. We were talking about it. That's what's driving a lot of this. That's what's, I think accelerating a lot of the radicalization of these people on the left. What's it going to take to get it back in check? Got any ideas, John?
Boy, I don't know. That's a good question. It's I just roll back to the thing of the rhetoric influencing people, not just the most radical of the bunch, people who want to assassinate the president, but the rank and file buy into so much of that.
Well, yeah, you just said
it. Passing.
So here's what the president said with Norah O'Donnell on a 60 Minutes interview.
Mr. President, do you know if you were the target of the gunman?
I don't know. It sounded to me, I read a manifesto. He's radicalized. He was a Christian, a believer, and then he became an anti-Christian, and he had a lot of change. He's been going through a lot based on what he wrote. His brother complained about him, and I think reported him to the police, and his sister likewise complained about him. His family was very concerned. He was probably a pretty sick guy.
This isn't the first time that there's been some signals. There's been some, some warning signs, maybe soft, but there. And what is it that takes a guy from Teacher of the Month, mechanical engineer, from those who in his neighborhood,
from Caltech, no less,
bright guy. I think maybe something may be in play when it comes to the constant 24/7 news cycle and the popularization of news. Right? It's not like you need to go and buy a newspaper and maybe get some kind of a credible report, or mostly credible report. You can look at something that passes for news from a populist perspective. People think that what they see someone else saying on Twitter or on Facebook or on Rumble or on wherever they're at. What is it? What's the one? Blue Sky? Is that the one now?
Yeah.
He switched to Blue Sky, in fact. He made that announcement in one of his, apparently that had happened back in around the time that Trump was inaugurated. Because I think it was December of 24, he was Teacher of the Month, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just fascinated by what it is that changes a person like this with clearly a lot of talent into a crazed shooter. I mean, he just storms the checkpoint. And on that, I don't know, I don't really fault the Secret Service for the fact that the guy, he looked like the Flash. I mean, whoa. Did you see how fast he came in?
Yeah, he was moving.
He would have, if he'd have gone in checking in like Stephanie, you've described you do, if he'd have gone and tried to be an imposter, I don't think he'd have gotten very far, right? This was the only way he was going to get in.
Rush the metal detectors.
Yeah, and they said he came down 10 flights of stairs on the back staircase to get into the immediate area where the Secret Service was vetting people, but he didn't use the elevator.
It does raise the issue about, we've used Amtrak when we lived in Northeast Missouri to get up to Chicago. You could go over to Quincy and I mean, you just get on the train. So there was no checkpoint on the train as far as weaponry or anything like you have on an airplane.
Yeah, my husband was shocked. I had ridden the train before, and we jump on the Amtrak, we're taking the kids somewhere, and it just starts rolling, and he's like, we're not checked in. Like, no one checked it. We didn't go to the office. Like, what? And I'm like, oh, they'll come by. And he's like, after we're already moving, like, that makes no sense. I'm like, it's just kind of like an honor system.
Yeah.
And I assume if they come by and you don't have a ticket, they kick you off. I don't know what happens to you. I have no idea. Or make you buy one. I'm not sure. That always has seemed strange to me, but it's worked for us. And hey, train tickets are way cheaper than airline tickets. But yeah, there's not a lot of security. Based on the reporting from the dinner itself, I think the security was way more and I'm not placing the blame on anybody, but like compared to events that I've been at that have not the president at them, it was seemingly lax. Mm-hmm. And compared to the events that I have been to with the president, way more lax than what I've experienced in the past.
It really begs the question, should you have an event where how many rooms are there? 1,500 rooms?
Oh, it's a huge hotel.
So what are you going to do? Shut down the whole hotel and tell people to go home? You can't do that. So it needs to be in a different venue, right? I mean, if you're going to have real security.
I think so. And, the Gaylord, I don't know where they usually do the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I don't think it's always been at this Hilton. But I know that, like I was saying earlier, with CPAC at the Gaylord, and then I've been to other hotels where essentially they do have the ability to kind of siphon off the event side of the hotel from the regular hotel guests. And, maybe you have to, I know at least one year, we had to go through a completely different entrance just to get, and I'm like, I'm staying in this hotel. And, so then it was miserable, and I was complaining, right? But I shouldn't have been. It was miserable because it's like all my stuff's in my hotel room, and maybe I want to go back and touch up my makeup or work a little bit. Yeah. But once I was on the secure side, I'm like, I'm not going back to the hotel side and having to redo the security. And so you're basically trapped over there for the whole day unless you want to try to re-clear.
It's like passing through TSA security, and then, darn it, I left my blood pressure meds in the car.
Good luck.
You don't want to go back through, it is usually the Washington Hilton, yeah.
Okay.
But it's the other one in New York where they have like there's a dinner where sometimes the president is at in New York. That's something
that I
else
might have been remembering.
Yeah. I get confused between the two.
But I think, it's a real concern, and I think several people expressed, like, anytime now I go to these events, like, I have concerns. I was at an event last year, and so I was at the Republican National Lawyers Policy Conference. That was over at the National Press Conference. We had QR codes to get in. Yep. There were high-profile people. Todd Blanche gave the closing speech. And so there was a lot of security around that event. And I think, any time that, there's any sort of publicity that I'm at a, quote, Republican event, I have a heightened level of awareness, I think. And it's tough. But yeah, I've been at events where there have been, protesters, get in. I've been at events where, there's been some sort of security breach. Thank goodness I've not been at one where there was like an active threat. But I think if you're going to these events, like, it sometimes feels a little bit like you're a sitting duck. And we shouldn't have to feel that way.
You think about the whole shooter in the hotel motif. Think about that terrible, terrible carnage out of Las Vegas, a decade or so ago?
Yeah, at the concert.
Where that guy had been bringing, the means to that end for apparently weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't go through a magnetometer when you check in, they're not giving you the wand job, So, man, I tell you, crazy. Trump said it a couple times. It's a crazy world we live in. It's just a crazy world.
Well, and you think of all the other things that like could have gone wrong, and I'm not again like I think a lot of liberals will say, well, it's the guns, right? And how many people have we seen in the last several years ram their car into a group of people? And so I think I'm more in the Drake camp of like there are crazy people that are going to do crazy things, and we can all, try to be on heightened awareness and keep our eye out for the people who are living in their mom's basement writing manifestos. And we can keep our eyes out when we're at large events. But it's tough out there.
I know a lot of people in MAGA world will probably criticize this, but I think that there is an inflammatory rhetoric that's really, at least in my recollection, probably more heated than it's been in a long, long time. You had Hakeem Jeffries last week just saying, we're at war with the president or something like that. Let's go to war. It's just that kind of stuff needs to stop. By the same token, I think Donald Trump needs to stop personalizing everything, and not that that's, I think people begin to learn that he doesn't really mean that. But I guess, maybe Hakeem Jeffries could say, well, of course I don't mean kinetic war. It's a metaphor.
Well, and I think some, if we zoom out a little bit, like maybe loss of confidence in our institutions is contributing to some of the people resorting to violence, right? Because before, when you got mad, especially about political stuff, you motivated your friends and your neighbors and you gave speeches and you were out to change the world through ideas and policy. And now I think, and I'm not faulting either side, I'm just saying, I think to some extent people have kind of lost confidence that they can affect change through their elected leaders. And that's why we see them resorting to these, this violence.
I think some of that loss of confidence is not warranted. I think a lot of that's driven by the availability of conspiracy theory.
And the mainstream media.
Yeah, right. Well, and, it's the social media doesn't help, right? Boy, these crazy ideas get proliferated, and man alive. Wonder if they're really going to land on the moon this time. Just kidding.
Yikes. No, I'm really looking forward to the Virginia Supreme Court today, Randy. Here's oral arguments in this redistricting case. That was a hot topic when we were near Virginia on Friday.
No, it is a hot topic. A hot topic for me is health when we come back on Make Missouri Healthy Again. How do you get a little more fiber into your diet, and why should you? We'll talk about that when we come back.
It's
We talk a lot about how critical fiber is to your health. I know this sounds like pablum. Oh, yeah, pun intended. When, after we're talking about the president and his cabinet almost being shot the other night, or at least that was the intended target, according to the guy's manifesto.
Although a bunch of people got some free wine. Did you see the
Did you
photo?
see them? Oh.
Well, and somebody posted the menu, and they were like, apparently they were supposed to have steak and lobster, and they're like, what do you do with 2,000 cooked plates of steak and lobster when everyone leaves? I don't know.
Feed it to the Secret Service.
I'm not going to lie. If I would have just survived something like that, I might have taken a bottle of wine for the road.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably.
I'm not joking.
Out of the
I don't
course,
fault those people.
Well, hopefully, maybe that would be a night that you could forego getting enough fiber in your diet. But it would be a good idea to just take one of the AI apps or MyFitnessPal or many of them that you can just take pictures of what's on your plate and just do a little fiber count. You know, for most folks, it's recommended 25, 30 grams. For men, a little bit more. I think women probably 25 to 30 and men 30, 35, minimal. More fiber, the better. Why is fiber good for you? Well, it feeds those all-important gut bacteria for you. I think, in addition, that lowers your inflammation. It decreases your bad LDL cholesterol. It improves your overall nutrition because the things that fiber is contained in or with are highly nutritious, not just dense calories, which is what we've come to love. I mean, who doesn't love their things in crinkly packages? Oh, love them, right? Crunchy, crinkly things fried, and oh boy. But they're just not good for you in terms of what they do to your metabolism and your gut. And I mean, the dad bod, you know, who doesn't have one of those guys? You know what I mean? So the fiber slows the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. It decreases the harmful cholesterol. It's a good idea. What do you think are some of the high fiber foods that you might get?
Leafy vegetables.
Stephanie? Yep. Non-starchy
Do I
vegetables.
get an A?
Non-starchy vegetables. You're right.
Okay.
A lot of times we hear patients talk to us about, oh, I eat my carrots. Well, carrots have some fiber, but not near as much as, say, a Brussels sprout or cauliflower or kale or something like that.
Is there some non-vegetable item I can eat that has good fiber in it?
Fruits have fiber.
Okay.
You know, some of the berries, which are superfoods, right? Because they have antioxidants. And I always think of berries, you know, they're so colorful and they're bright red and purple and blue. And that's because they've got substances in them that prevent them from getting sunburned. Think about it. If you were out in the sun as much as a berry is, you wouldn't look your beautiful, glowing self, Stephanie. You'd be fried like a pork rind, right? But
I was going to say, I need some of those substances. I burn pretty easy.
It's the antioxidants. It's the antioxidants that are so important, along with the along with the fiber. So there's something to be said about saying maybe a little bit less of the potato and a little bit more of the green beans, as long as you don't soak them.
I'm looking online at a high fiber food list, and they say dark chocolate is on the list. Dates. I told you I really like dates.
Yeah, dates are good. But they have a lot of calories, a lot of sugar in dates, you know.
Oh, don't hate on my dates. Sweet potatoes. I'm just thinking not everyone wants to eat like a giant bowl of broccoli. Bananas. I love a banana.
You haven't tried one of my wife's
chia. Is it quinoa?
The cauliflower steak is great. I love cauliflower steak.
Oh,
it's really good.
Sounds good for you.
Come for my. Can you cook it medium rare? That's what I want to know.
It's really good. She puts some nuts on there, and then she puts a couple little raisins on there, and it's just beautiful.
No.
Stephanie says no. What do you say about cauliflower steak? Let me know. 573-874-9390.
from the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters.
As my uncle, President John F. Kennedy, said, progress is a nice word, but change is its motivator, and change has its enemies.
It's your morning addiction.
That those brave, courageous women are treated with dignity and respect.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Bypassing the Democrats' filibuster in the United States Senate.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Believe me, because, it's my life. And I want to live because I want to make this country great. That's why I want to live. But when you're impactful, they go after you. When you're not impactful, they leave you alone.
That's true. If you're milquetoast Biden, not doing much, or if you're doing it, doing stealthily, people don't get quite as worked up. Wants to live because he wants to make this country great. Donald Trump at an unprecedented news conference after the White House Correspondents Association dinner was canceled on Saturday evening. Stormy political weather in this country. There's stormy weather throughout Missouri as well. Mid-Missouri taking a big hit of tornado warnings in Saline County as well. And John, what's going on mid-Missouri? And I'm looking at the Springfield area. It looks like maybe they'll dodge the eye of the storm. What's up?
Yeah, mid-Missouri, tornado-warned storms, severe thunderstorms slammed into much of mid-Missouri overnight. There were reports of golf ball size or larger hail reported, several locations, thousands without power. We understand they're getting that back on. But there was trees and power lines down, and the big thing is storms this morning also capable of severe weather. You mentioned the one up by kind of Glasgow and up around Saline County. They're under a tornado-warned storm right now. Storms are working in from the west, and they say areas north of Highway 50 will have the chance at the morning storms, but rain better in coverage north of 70, where severe weather is most likely this morning. Then we get a second round of storm chances developing this afternoon, and they say those could potentially carry even a greater risk for severe storms this afternoon. So keep it right here. We'll keep you posted to the best of our abilities, and right along with the folks on TV.
I finally, after the light hail stopped this morning, I finally got Simba, the wonder dog, to go out, but I had to stand there with him because, it was just real blustery, and there was I would say maybe quarter-inch size hail, maybe a little bit bigger, that fell for just a few minutes around our house. Did you get any stuff?
Not that I know of.
It was not long-lived.
Well, they're saying that could be one of the bigger challenges with our later day storms.
Really?
Some really good size hail.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's rough.
Oh, no.
Have you ever been outside in a hailstorm? It's happened to me twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Where were you?
One time I was whitewater rafting.
Oh, no.
And they were like, get to the trees. And, but yeah, all of a sudden you're like, why does this rain sting? And then you're like, oh, no. And then one time I was watching a rugby game, and there weren't any trees. Luckily, it was at Truman State, and there's a rappelling tower for the ROTC guys, and so we all just flattened up as close to that as we could get to try to get some protection. But it's crazy. We had, John, we had that really bad hailstorm that took out, car windows in Jefferson City during COVID.
Yeah,
and
decimated the car lots.
Yeah, it was. It's one. I hate it.
Took all the glass out of our station vehicle.
Wow.
I want to know who can fit all of their cars in their garage, or is your garage like mine and a little bit full, and you would have to rearrange some stuff to try to get them in.
Guilty is charged.
Right.
I have Helene's car in there. My truck is, forget about it. It's just going to take the hit, whatever it is.
It's looking hairy out there right now. I'm not going to lie.
Looks pretty ugly out there. If you have any news reports on this weather, firsthand report, let us know. 573-874-9390, 1-800-529-5572. I can't believe that Trump canceled all those electric vehicles and gone on to we wouldn't be having all of this changeable weather if it wasn't for that drill baby drill, right? Gosh darn it.
Darn global warming.
It's been weird, but I wouldn't say bad.
No.
And every year we say that, like, oh, last year we had all that snow. This year we didn't have a lot of snow, but it's been a pretty active spring so far.
I don't recall as much flooding and, torrential downpours last year as we've had so far this year.
Yeah, if you're traveling, you might check the MoDOT map. I have seen some tweets, mainly not in mid-Missouri, but if you're on I-70, I know there's some spots that they're saying it's got some water on it. So be aware today for sure.
Yeah. Donald Trump took after Nora O'Donnell on 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes. The guy just doesn't give up. He's a fighter.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people. Horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
You think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead. Let's finish the interview.
The other.
Hey, she set herself up for it by reading it to him.
Well, if you looked at the manifesto, he says, because a lot of, I've heard people say that, really he was going after just the cabinet members when the exact words were to the effect of from members of the administration, from the highest to the lowest. Well, isn't he the highest member of the administration? So I think he had some ambitions of making this like an unbelievably unimaginable event. I'm glad that he didn't get away with it. So he's being arraigned today, right, Stephanie?
Yes, he is due in court, I believe, this morning.
Yeah. Oh boy. So Saline, Randolph, we spent a little time in the basement last night.
We did too.
Yeah.
Usually I'm pretty chill, but there was a weird hook headed straight for Ashland. Mm-hmm. And so I know, thanks for all my friends checking in on me. We talked about that when we had our friends in from Boone County Emergency Management talking about the sirens. But I got tons of texts. Hey, are you okay? Hey, are you in the basement? Yeah. And people know that I'm not always. You might think that I'm always on my phone or I'm always like keyed in, but sometimes I was working most of the day yesterday. And I think that's the most important thing is check in on your people. If you see someone in the path of that storm, make sure they're, paying attention and that they're in the right place. But we were in the basement for about a good half hour.
Yeah, that was a pretty hairy storm. That was early on in the evening. It was we were here. It was in the 8 o'clock hour. And it was a storm that sort of came down Highway 50 and got to about Centertown, which is, very close to the Montauk-Cole County line. Then it jumped the river like they more often than not do, went right up towards Hartsburg and skirted along Ashland, and then even the heavy winds and rain right through Columbia.
And rather than like a straight line of moving storms, I heard it described as kind of snake-like, and that's what gave them some pause, was that it looked to be starting to rotate. And so you never know. So stay safe, friends. We're not out of the woods yet.
Not by a long shot. We could have some more very severe storms with some development this morning and then redevelopment this afternoon. So stay on top of it and don't ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, and these things, this seems to be the kind of system where it goes from thunderstormy to all of a sudden it's a warning. I don't hear a lot of extended watch time ahead of a warning. It seems much more volatile.
It caught me off guard yesterday for sure.
All right, well, keep it here, and we'll keep you up to date as to the latest weather as we have it. And I know that Don Luzader is doing that in Springfield as well. Speaking of keeping you up to date, tomorrow night would be a great opportunity to get together and hang out at the Ice Cream Social. That's the American Legion Post in Columbia, sponsored by, of course, us guys and the TPUSA guys, and, of course, the Boone County Central Committee Republican guys and gals.
Guys and gals.
Well, by guys, I mean, do you say that? Don't you normally say when you walk into a group, you say girls, if it's all girls, right?
Yeah.
But what if it's mixed? Do you say guys and girls? You say guys?
Probably.
Really? Oh, I usually just say, hey, guys. Maybe I'll say, hey, gals. Drake wouldn't like that. Drake's shaking his head.
I'm over here monitoring weather, trying to make sure everyone's like safe and okay, and you're over here, Drake wouldn't like that.
Just making sure you're staying with it here.
Well, my mom is reporting that it's warm and sunny up in northern Missouri.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wait, never mind. That's sarcasm. Yeah, it's not great up in north central Missouri. Yeah, that's my bad, guys.
Speaking of guys and gals and bias, Missouri State disbands its bias response team. This is interesting. As we try to dismantle the whole edifice of DEI, which is, I think, an important, and Harmeet Dillon has been so effective at that, where she is just going after anything where immutable characteristics are used to either advantage one group of people or disadvantage another, irrespective of their immutable characteristics. It's really good to see. And
yeah, it was in response to a lawsuit that was filed here recently, and they have disbanded.
The bias review team. What is the bias review team? They were like sort of the ombudsman of diversity or not on the campus there at Missouri State. I think a lot of people that I know in minority groups are like, man, I just wish people would stop looking out for me. Just let me be myself and show you what I can do,
The university says their decision to disband the bias response team predates any litigation.
I see. That's what they're saying.
It previously reviewed anonymous reports of bias on campus, graffiti, etc., but those were limited in scope and infrequent, and they met rarely.
Well, apparently there's a new Michael Jackson film, and it has a connection with Mizzou, right? Or with...
I don't know. Does it?
Oh, no, never mind. It doesn't. No, it's going to be showing here. It's a new one. It's divisive, apparently. Divisive MJ film everyone is flocking to see. Stay tuned for that. You're listening to Wake Up Missouri. We'll keep you up to date on the weather. It's changeable.
It's Wake
One in the north and northwestern parts of our listening area, and to some extent, through Columbia, is really staying safe and sound. Look, if it just means a few minutes in the basement, just take the extra precaution. I see a lot of purple on this radar, and it's going to be covering, like you said, John, Marsh, Saline County, Glasgow's getting hit. Randolph County got a tornado warning. How long?
Howard's part of Howard.
Yeah, Howard County.
This is radar indicated rotation is what ABC 17 is saying. But, like you said, be on the safe side. Take cover in your safe place, interior room of your home or basement if you have one.
Yeah. Well, it'll all be clear by tomorrow night at the Ice Cream Social. You can learn about that on 93.9 The Eagle. And then next Wednesday, it's going to be beautiful. Clear skies. Wonderful studio of KWTO where you can come down and visit us if you're in the Springfield area, if you're in any area, if you're hearing us and you'd like to come down and say hi at the Politics and Pints event. Eric Erickson will be holding forth. I can't wait to say hi to Eric. He seems like such a decent guy, just a really good guy, and, of course, a staunch conservative. I'm anxious to hear what Elijah will be holding forth. Eric Erickson will all be there, and that's at 5:30. You need to register for that one. You don't need to register for the social tomorrow, the Ice Cream Social. That one's in Columbia, by the way. So if you want to come down to Politics and Pints, please do that. And if you're anywhere in the Springfield area, come on over and see the beautiful studios and the studios of the sister stations. It's a gorgeous complex. And that'll be at 5:30. You can log on on the website, 933kwto.com, 933kwto.com, or on the Facebook. There's a link there. And it's free. You don't have to pay anything, but we'd like to know how many of you are there so Peter can spend all night, Tuesday night, getting those appetizers ready. He's going to be cooking up some good stuff. I think he just found that out. No, the Oasis Hotel will be providing those. Those are great. And there'll be an opportunity with Cash Bar as well, so you can have some fun. 573-874-9390. This MJ film, Michael Jackson film, everyone's, I don't know, are you excited about a Michael Jackson film, Stephanie? You going to watch it?
Maybe. I can appreciate it. There's some drama over it, though, I guess.
What do you mean, I guess? There is drama.
There is drama. I haven't been following the MJ film drama, but it is a huge deal. Apparently, it had the biggest global opening for a biopic ever, $97 million domestically, $120.4 million more overseas. But the movie concludes in 1988 before he was accused of anything. And so folks are saying it's kind of an unfair depiction, although there's already rumors that there is a sequel, which is likely.
Quite a talent. I mean, it's just, boy, talk about a guy that just couldn't handle the celebrity, right? Oh,
you can't deny, though, he had good music. I've seen the what is it called? The Cirque show in Vegas. That's the Michael Jackson version. Very good. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah,
I probably won't go to the theaters, Drake, is what I'm saying.
It made $97 million this last weekend. $97 million domestically. That's a pretty good turnout. That's really good. Hey, we're going to talk with Tony Kinnett, Daily Signal national correspondent, in just a few minutes. He was in the room Saturday night as the chaos unfolded. Don't miss that. Straight ahead, Wake Up Missouri. Wake Up Missouri on a changeable weather day. Meteorologically, it's a tumultuous, volatile time. This weekend proved that it continues to be a volatile time politically. We talked to Tony Kinnett, who is a national correspondent at the Daily Signal, who was in the room Saturday night. Tony, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks. And now that I'm back in Indiana, thanks for this wonderful weather you're sending down I-70 for me.
You're welcome. No problem. Tony, what was it like in the moment? Just give us a little synopsis of what happened in your world as this was going on.
Absolutely. So right off the top of the bat, there was a loud, like 3 loud bangs, but because the doors were shut, it sounded more like there was either a waiter who had dropped some plates or maybe a chair had fallen over. And it was a really crowded room, especially because of the expansion of independent media this year. So it didn't seem strange. And we just sat down to the salad course, which was horrible. I mean, not my type of I don't really like a lump of brie on leaves. So anyway, then this one individual in the middle of the room, not from the direction where the shooting was, which was a side door into the ballroom, started running up the middle of the room. And that's initially what we had thought, that there was maybe someone running for the president that either had either a knife or either maybe a bomb strapped to his chest, was actually our initial thought. And so everyone shouted, "Get down." I shoved our White House correspondent under the table, and then I stood up because I wanted to start looking. Instinct kicked in. Is there anyone here who is trying to look casual? And that kind of a secondary threat analysis. And then they started evacuating administration officials from 5 different exits. Within 30 seconds, 4 special secret service agents with M4s drawn in a zone pattern over the crowd were on stage and pointing those weapons all around the room, understandably and correctly. VIPs in the crowd, including one near me, was reached, and an individual kindly encouraged to get out of the explicative way and pulled those people out of the room. And then you all knew more than we did. We sat there for an hour. They wouldn't let us leave. They told us nothing. And it was, we actually thought there was a significant bomb threat and that perhaps there was going to be shrapnel flying through the room initially.
So it sounds like for a brief moment there, you thought you were in the middle of an active killer event, whatever the weapon. I mean, that's like when someone came running down the room, you thought, man, we're in the presence of a killer.
That's correct.
Wow.
And more so, I pulled out my phone and started recording. We didn't know if someone had actually been struck or hit. Someone in the crowd asked if there were shots fired, and then 2 other journalists, because no one liked journalists, they then scorned the person for saying shots fired. Of course, now we know that person's speculation was correct, and they shouldn't have been scorned. But yeah, we sat there for an hour. And then, by the way, we weren't even told what happened before we went out. We sat there for an hour just for them to say, we're going to reschedule. They didn't thank law enforcement. They didn't say the status of the shooter. They just sent us out to the National Guard outside, which I found, growing up in the Midwest, I found there was a little bit of distaste in my mouth for not even thanking law enforcement for having stopped the shooter. Yeah. But that's just me.
We're talking with Tony Kinnett, safe home in Indiana. He's national correspondent for the Daily Signal, was in the room Saturday night we're talking with him on Wake Up Missouri. We're just getting a report that severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Boone and Audrain counties, started 5 minutes ago and will end an hour from now.
Now, I want to back up, and we're going to get to, I think, the security protocols. But even before that, what was your day like as you were headed to that? Did you have family members who said, be alert? Did you have any reservations about going to an event like that? Was there anything in your mind as you knowing kind of the current situation?
I had been given a couple of extra security protocol to follow because I've received threats personally before to go to the building in a specific way. I had security that often goes to a couple of places with me. This time that wasn't going to be a full escort because when you're going to an event run by Secret Service, you're really not allowed to have private security, especially not armed private security. And so I had showed up. I flew in that morning, attended a couple of meetings in town, and then once the tux is on, it's very weird. Like you feel as though you are kind of going to a place where genuinely with the president and the vice president and the secretary of state and the speaker of the House and like a full 5 members of the line of succession in that room, you think surely they have all of this covered 8 ways from Sunday. And when I got to the perimeter, my ticket was a slightly different ticket, and they ended up waving me through. And there were protesters screaming, calling for those of us to be killed because they said we were pedophile enablers and all of that other nonsense. And when I got in, they ended up handing me a ticket with on the ticket was Sharpied the word duplicate. So I was to be frank with you, I probably should have been maybe a slight bit more apprehensive at that moment. But again, when you think, well, all of these layers of security must be here given the attendance, that was quite a shock.
So from arrival to like getting into the ballroom, I mean, how long was that process?
There were so many little, all these little outlets, there was the ABC little procession, and then there was the pre-party with Politico, and I didn't go to many of those. It's more of I haven't seen you in ages. Oh, how are you, Martha? Oh, good to see you, that kind of crap. And so there's so much of that. There isn't like all right, we're all going to come in, and then it's right to the ballroom, which, by the way, is probably how it should be. They're really, all of this isn't the 1990s anymore. If you can have somebody, bust in the room like Harrison Ford and start yelling about Provasic, you probably shouldn't have, again, it's not 1990. There are different kinds of threats in this day and age. They were escorting protesters out who had somehow snuck in before. There was a Code Pink protester that had made it through. So this should have been an issue a good 45 minutes before we made it in there. But I'd say if I had to time it, probably about 15 minutes.
We're talking with Tony Kinnett from Daily Signal, national correspondent there. He was in the room at the Washington Hilton on Saturday evening. Some have said, why wasn't this at a level termed, the national security event level, which would have been even a heightened level of security? Is it possible when you have hotel guests there, 1,100 rooms, 1,500 rooms? Was the first mistake just the choice of the venue?
Well, the answer to that question is yes. The choice of the venue is very bad, but the issue is that this is where this normally happens. This is not actually the first presidential assassination attempt in that ballroom. You remember in 1981, Reagan was in an attempted assassination in that room. But this is where they've held it because, again, the White House is not a place that can hold these kind of events. And, whether you like Trump or hate him, when he says, we've been needing this ballroom for 150 years, he's not wrong. He's 100% correct. You can't, just because Orange Man said it doesn't mean that it's not extremely appropriate, accurate, moral, and ethical. In this case, he was right on all 4 counts.
How immoral and unethical is it that barely had the smell of gunpowder gone from the room, from the hallway, the left, crazies on the left are posting that this was a staged event so he could actually promote the ballroom. Where are we at, Tony? It is unbelievable the narratives they'll spin.
That's true. And not only from that, but also from the Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of former right-wing crazy individuals as well, who are so angry and so desperate to think that there is some kind of super insane conspiracy around every angle, who essentially go around licking aluminum foil from their elbows, that suggests, it must be staged because it must be staged. CNN has literally delayed a documentary on, quote, the imperial presidency, end quote, because, boy, those pesky facts are getting in the way of that insane narrative again, which is that, yes, there are insane people who genuinely want the president dead, whether they are insane leftists, whether they're from the Iranian regime, whether they are schizophrenic. That kind of stuff, that kind of rhetoric that inflames those individuals has not only been on the rise, it's been celebrated and defended. All of the people who refuse to condemn Hassan Piker would be those who contribute to this kind of thing.
Well, just last week, didn't Hakeem Jeffries say something about we're at war? With people within our country. Tony, you mentioned something on your thread, on your X thread, which was interesting about, it sounds like almost you got a little bit of a comfort at the moment because of people around the room, former law enforcement, military, contractors. Talk about that a little bit.
So talk about instincts kicking in. I think that was the question that was asked first. And after pushing our female White House correspondent at the table below the table, I stood up, and you start looking around. And there are others that are looking at the president being evacuated, and I took note of that. But you start looking around, and there are other individuals that are doing the same pose. And it's the same pose if you've served, especially if you've served in a combat role, or you've served in law enforcement, or maybe you've done some military contracting work, redacted. Then there's this slightly leaned forward pose where you are looking around the room for a couple of things. So a secondary threat, you're looking for someone who is trying to appear casual. It is a major tell. You're looking for someone who is mimicking someone else's movements about half a second behind. And once you've seen that for the first time, it's very recognizable. And then you make eye contact with the others who are looking for that exact thing. And with every bit of eye contact and nod that comes from someone else who's looking for that kind of a thing, there's almost okay, I don't have to worry about this small area anymore. And that's comforting. It's that person has that area. There's a comfort in knowing that other people are keeping an eye on some of that same thing that you are.
I think we've seen that maybe vicariously. I've not experienced it firsthand in a situation like this, but I think it's almost we have a pair of nesting eagles on our little hobby farm, and that's the way that the male bald eagle just sits there and just sort of scans, very situationally aware, and I just leave a breath of relief. It's just a good feeling. Yeah, I know what you mean. Tony, this is great reporting, man, and I'm glad that your adrenaline levels are down now. It was a little bit of a stress test, so you don't have to do that if your cardiologist asks you to get on the treadmill. It's good. Here's hoping. Although I think I've probably lost more sleep due to jet lag in the last day than it has been for this. I'd say walking 3 miles in D.C. to find an Uber was more annoying. Are you going to be going to the redo on this if in fact it happens like President Trump wants it to?
I think the answer is yes, and I'll have to think about that later because I don't really want you guys to get an FCC fine if I swear on air.
Tony Kinnett at the Tonus on X. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope to talk to you again in the near future.
Thank you so much for having me, Missouri.
All right, there he is. Interesting.
Incredible.
Eyewitness report.
Yeah.
Wow, something else. John, what's happening when we come back?
Here's the buzz. Maybe they should have called Randy.
Listen to John when we come back and catch up on the weather, too.
It's Wake Up
It was an unusual sight on the side of the road on I-40 in East Tennessee. Beekeepers in full gear trying to collect 1 million bees after the truck they were being hauled in crashed in Knoxville. Tennessee Department of Transportation said the swarm shut down the exit. The truck was destroyed, but no one was hurt. They posted a photo of the bees and beekeepers on social media. Quote, "The bees are, well, buzzing. Unless you are dressed in this outfit, please stay in your vehicle as you come through the area." Turns out all the bees were rescued and moved from the area. 1 million bees.
Surprised they didn't use drones to catch the bees.
That's it.
But speaking of drones, that's interesting. I think we've had another bee getaway story, haven't we? With another bee crash. I don't think
it
that's the
happens from
first
time to time, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think the telling fact is how many of them are on in a truckload of bees.
That's a lot.
That's an interesting business that many beekeepers are in, where they'll take their beehive and will pollinate
places.
Pollinate a grove of fruits or berries or whatever. So speaking of drones and agriculture, did you see where there was a heist of 15 or 20 agricultural drones in New Jersey?
No.
And the authorities are worried that could be a real, talk about giving the bad guy an idea. Well, you probably don't need to give the bad guy an idea. That could be a terrible harbinger of bioterrorism delivery system. Think about that. These agricultural drones apparently can drop 40 or 50 gallons of stuff, whatever pesticide or herbicide on, pretty widespread area. I mean, think about that. Remember back about 9/11 and the anthrax off the top of a building and stuff, This puts that on steroids.
And this was a pretty sophisticated operation. They said there was a bogus delivery driver who duped the shipping and logistics company, presenting a phony bill of lading and at the pickup location. And so we've heard about these truck heists before, whether it be the Kit Kat, and other retailers have said the same thing reportedly. That these phony logistics companies are a way that folks are stealing things, but they got a hold of the fleet of Series Air C-31 drones.
Yeah, they're big
15
too.
of them.
Wow. They say they're not quite as big as a crop duster, but they're a lot bigger than a little hobby drone for sure.
They can spray up to 40 gallons of liquid chemicals over a 15-acre span in just 7 minutes.
My Lord.
That's I think that's one of them.
Yeah, that's one.
They say they're about the size of an ATV.
So can you imagine you take some, bioterrorist and just put a little sprinkling of some type of deadly, pandemic-worthy bug, and bingo, you got a problem on your hands. Woo. Especially in weather like this, how far would it spread? Baseball-sized hail being reported, right? Don Luzada reporting in where?
Yeah, down around Pomme de Terre and El Dorado Springs.
Holy cow.
Tim is saying traffic is being sent back northbound at Highway NM. Is that N or M, Tim? And folks are saying the winds picked up south of 63 of Rennick. There's a tractor trailer overturned. We got a photo of it from a listener. So things are getting real hairy out there.
Sandy says that the wind has changed 180 degrees from south to north.
And watch the flash flooding. Drake has a personal report of some flash flooding, but I've seen some flooding on some roadways on I-70. So if you're traveling today, make sure you're keeping an eye out.
And please be careful. Please do not, if you see water over the road, please don't try to go through it, even if you have a big A truck. Don't do that. Don't do that. Back with more Wake Up Missouri in a few.
from the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters.
It's always shocking when something like this happens.
It's your morning addiction.
The people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
Every single senator, every Democrat, and every Republican supports the bipartisan DHS funding bill.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
In fact, watching you, you demonstrated courageous leadership, and thank God you're alive, all of us are alive today.
What do I do? But it comes with the territory. And if you want to do a great job, I really believe that. And you take a look at what's happened to some of our greatest presidents, and it doesn't happen to people that don't do anything. And it's not going to deter me from winning the war in Iran. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I really don't think so, based on what we know. But we're going to continue to do a great job. That's all.
Well, the unflappable Donald Trump, third time that someone was out to get him, this time not only him, but the cabinet members and other members of the administration, per the manifesto of the crazed shooter from California, entered the hotel as a guest the day before the dinner on Saturday evening and was armed with a shotgun and pistol and knives. And wow, something else. But he's unflappable. He's like, oh, comes with the territory. We're going to continue to make America great again. The weather outside is unbelievable. It
Not
looks like
delightful.
It looks like it's dark. I mean, it looks like it's, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, at least here in our Columbia studios. And we reported just before the top of the hour, Don Luzader was saying in Pomme de Terre and El Dorado Springs, baseball-sized hail, right, John?
Yeah, overnight.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable. Boy, it looks just awful out here. Appreciate your meteorological reports. Hoping that maybe if Tony Lupo is listening, that he can give us a little rundown on what's going on. Drake, I know in your family's neck of the woods, flooding going on right in your backyard, literally, right?
Well, it's actually the front yard, but that's a very specific thing with our yard. It's got like a little creek and a little bed. Not good weather out, guys. Maybe I don't really know what advice I can give. Just pray.
Hunker down. 573-874-9390 if you would like to give us a weather report. We'd appreciate that. You can call us at 800-529-5572. Want to remind you that tomorrow things will be clear. We hope. Let me look here. Tonight, tomorrow, isolated thunderstorms again. Oh, my gosh. No, I guess it won't be so clear. But you know what? It'll be fun to have an ice cream social anyway. So come out if you're in the Columbia area. American Legion Post. You can learn more about that at 93.9 The Eagle. And we'll hang out. There'll be a lot of interesting folks there. I know Representative Martin is going to be there. You can rub shoulders with Paige Schulte from Turning Point USA, the Mizzou chapter. So lots of interesting folks will be there as well. Boone County Republicans, the Wake Up Missouri team, as well as the Turning Point USA team, bring that to you. No charge at all. Just come out and have some ice cream. I guess it'll be red, white, and blue. What will the blue ice cream be? Blueberry?
There is a blue ice cream. I don't think it's blueberry, isn't it? Like, come
Do we
on,
know?
help me out.
Maybe it's Blue Bunny.
My kids all eat it.
Strawberry.
It's like a birthday cake or something,
okay,
isn't it?
I hope the red is strawberry. That's best. Vanilla's the best, followed second by strawberry, I think. No, Drake?
Chocolate.
Chocolate? Well, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to be chocolate. I'm not. You like chocolate and mint? A lot of people like chocolate mint. I'm not.
Oh, it's my favorite, actually.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
that's one. Pick one.
I think my father-in-law loves that. That's his favorite. Mint with chocolate chips, I think, is his favorite. And then Wednesday, May 6th, 93.3KWTO.com. You can register, or on the KWTO Facebook page, you can register for the Politics and Pints with Eric Erickson at the studios of KWTO. It's a beautiful, spacious area there. And, of course, the studio is not where you'll be. But Elijah will be there. Of course, Eric Erickson will be there. And looking forward to seeing many of you in the Springfield area at that event. The appetizers are free. Bring along a couple bucks for some cash bar stuff. And we'll have a good time. 5:30 next Wednesday, that is May 6th. While we're down in the area, Helene and I are going to go take in the David story at the Sight and Sound Theater in Branson.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been to that theater?
I have not done that, but my family has, and they said it's wonderful.
Spectacular theater. And it's if you're into the biblical stories, it's a great way to bring your kids and have them understand the majestic nature of God's plan and the detours that human beings take off of it. And David may be the most emblematic of those detours. God picks sometimes the flawed people to make the biggest difference. All right, so let's move on. Marco Rubio basically saying it's time for, and by the way, we're going to be talking with Eben Brown to catch up on Pakistan talks that fell apart, Stephanie. That was, Vance never made the trip. Trump said, I'm not sending him over there.
Yeah, and I think somebody from Iran was in Pakistan. They left early, so
went to Oman.
Yeah.
What's that all about? So Marco Rubio has a thing or two to say about all of this.
The president of France, Macron, goes to China, spends about 6 hours meeting with Xi Jinping, and then on the flight back, he talks to a bunch of reporters. And here's what he told the reporters. He told the reporters, number one, that it's time for Europe to break away from the United States, not to depend on the dollar, not to depend so much on us, to become their own third superpower. The second thing he says, which I found really interesting, was that Europe needs to make sure that they don't get involved in conflicts that are not their conflicts. Specifically, that Europe should not be picking sides on Taiwan between the United States and China. And so I think this is a good moment for us to ask Europe, does Macron speak for all of Europe? Is Macron now the head of Europe? Is he now the most powerful leader in Europe? Because if he is, then there's some things we're going to need to change.
Yeah, and he goes on to say we may have to recalibrate our stance and our posture and our alignment with Europe. So at the same time that Trump is trying to solidify some Middle Eastern Abrahamic Accord style relationships with the neighborhood around Iran, they're all applauding the fact that we're taking care of business there and getting the big bully out of that neighborhood. Marco Rubio's out there saying, hey, if you guys aren't with us, maybe you're against us. I mean, your countries are becoming overrun with radical Muslims who want to bring Sharia law into Western democracies.
Presidents made the same kind of like-minded comments about NATO.
Yep. And, I like that kind of transparency. I mean, I think it's drawing some new lines that say, look, we're America. We're here to assist. We want to be a part of a peaceful globe, but we're not going to be solely responsible for the peace. We're not going to keep defending you when you can't even, he goes on to talk about how Macron wanted to send some terrorism, or send some people to fight terrorism in Africa. We had to fly them there. He didn't have the means to get the troops from France to Africa. And so he asked the question, is it time that we really rethink our relationship with Europe? I don't know. Well, don't they make
you... Sure sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. We bailed their sorry butts out a couple of times, if I remember correctly, in the 20th century. and the thanks we get is like, not so much. We want our oil. You keep those straits open, and then when it's open and everything, the dust is settled, we'll come in and send a few ships to, posture a little bit. I'm not liking that at all. What was that story? So Catherine Hanaway means business when it comes to these illegally marketed drugs. Did you see that? There's a smoke shop in St. Louis that she was going to sue, and they agreed now to halt operations. They were selling these things that look like candy. You know what I mean, Stephanie? That have the like the derivatives. We've been talking a lot about that. There's Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. Then there's all of the things that can be made as chemical modifiers of that were passing under the radar of regulatory scrutiny. And I mean, Catherine Hanaway talked about that at the Boone County Lincoln Days, and she is going after them. So they just agreed in a settlement. They're going to abandon it. They're done.
Like many of the illegal machine operators, you always talk about how powerful she is. And we've seen attorney generals sue in the past, but it seems more and more she's getting people, just the threat of her suing and going after you is causing people to stand down.
Yeah. 573-874-9390. Do we have any reports? My text app is acting up here, Steph.
We are getting some
What are we
reports
getting?
on the text line. I think it's Highway NM.
Yeah, there was an overturned semi.
That is on Highway 63 south of Rennick. But Highway NM, there's trees and debris on the highway, and they're being sent back northbound. So if you're in that area, keep an eye out. Our sky's lightening up just a little bit with a lot of wind, but it seems to be passing through right now. So, and even with this first wave this morning, it doesn't appear that we're out of the woods for the rest of the day. So you really do need to be weather aware today.
John, have you heard any reports of any twisters? I know there's been warnings in Saline County and then Randolph County.
Yeah, now that's now a severe thunderstorm, if I'm not mistaken, and it's into Audrain County and some of the, I think Rawls as well, some of the counties, to the north of our immediate listening area and all. And I know the ABC 17 crew has been tracking it heavily and watching it, and it's computer identified, radar identified as rotation in the lines of the storms, but I haven't heard anything from the ABC 17 types or National Weather Service about any confirmed tornadoes on the ground this morning.
I know last night they said there was a tornado on the ground, west of Joplin, John, and then they issued one of those scary PDS warnings, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, not again. That's just horrifying. It lifted before it got to Joplin, but it's been a wild 24 hours.
Wild ride, yeah. And we're talking about with this severe thunderstorm that's up in the Mexico and points north area, they were talking about 70-mile-per-hour winds and at least quarter-sized hail, if not bigger. So it's in the forecast for the rest of today.
Want to hear some 70-mile-an-hour Trump? Listen to this with Nora O'Donnell.
He had attended a No Kings protest in California.
No Kings.
What did security tell you about what may have been his motives?
The reason you have people like that is you have people doing no kings. I'm not a king. What I am, if I was a king, I wouldn't be dealing with you.
Trump at the speed of 70-mile-an-hour wind. You can't harness the guy. We'll harness the Morning Bell market report when we come back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Morning bell rings. What's going on in the markets?
After the last-minute decision over the weekend to call off the latest scheduled peace talks, oil prices rose and stock futures fell last night. As we look at the markets from this, let's see, the close on Friday, we had the Dow down 0.16%, the S&P up 0.80%, the NASDAQ up 1.63%, so pretty good day overall. We had technology was up big and health was the biggest loser. Now, I think this was over the weekend. We had the London Marathon. Did you watch it, Randy?
I didn't, no.
Well, I have a question for you. What qualifies as cheating? We've heard those stories about people who like don't follow the path, right? But two runners did what was supposed to be basically impossible at the London Marathon. I'm not going to try to pronounce their names, but they ran in 1:59:30 and 1:59:41. That's a sub 2 hour marathon. This is kind of the holy grail of marathon running. And yeah, that's really fast. And we also had a person set the women only world record of 2:15:41. And all three of these people have something in common. So this was the fastest man ever, the fastest woman ever, all in the same race. All three of these runners wore the Adizero Adios Pro Evo 3. That's a long, it's this new Adidas shoe. It is ultra lightweight. It has a carbon plate in it, and it has this energy return that helps propel runners forward. And so folks are saying this is like the biggest ad campaign you could get if you release this new shoe, and now everyone's suddenly running super fast. But the question is this like humans getting better, or are we just like doing a science technology experiment?
Sort of like juicing up the bats with air inside of them or something, right? With the softball bats.
We're going to get there. Since 2020, Adidas's Adizero line has had 200 plus race wins, 24 world records, and it's already tied to multiple world records in just a year. So I'm definitely going to go. They have some with orange on them, Randy, I think. So I'm definitely going to go out and get these. But this, we've talked before about the Vaporfly Nike issue, and that was in 2017 to 2020. There, folks were given prototypes that weren't available to all runners, and it became this huge scandal such that the governing body of the World Athletics stepped in and said shoes must be publicly available before the competition. So this, you can go get this shoe. I looked online. I think maybe not this exact shoe, but a version of it for like $150. And so they put with the rules, there's a max sole thickness, and you can only have one carbon plate in the shoe.
Wow.
That was the rule back in 2020. But you're right, Randy. We've seen other scandals before: juiced bats, juiced balls. You've seen it in golf with new technology. There for a while, we had it in bicycling, where they were coming up with those really aerodynamic bikes and helmets that were basically like a science experiment in creating a wind tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
We had the great swimsuit scandal, and they banned what was known as the super suit when swimmers were wearing full body polyurethane suits, and those are now banned. So it's kind of a thing in sports. We're constantly tinkering and trying to get, an advantage, and here's the latest in this super shoe. Although, again, is it an advantage if it's available to everybody?
Well, that's right. Not exactly in the same category, but remember the guy from South Africa that had the artificial legs that had spring in them? Remember?
No.
And he competed in...
Yeah.
Huh?
And then he killed his girlfriend.
Oh.
What?
I was going to say that most prosthetics are kind of like that with running prosthetics.
Yeah, he killed his girlfriend then. Yeah.
Well, if you're wanting to win your next 5K, you know what shoe to wear.
There you go.
Wonder if it'd give my older legs a little bounce in their step if I did that. Eben Brown coming up on Iran. Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. Joining us now, Evan Brown, Fox News Radio, on the heels of what seems to be another scratch-your-head pause in the whole Iran situation. Evan, welcome into the program. J.D. Vance didn't go to Pakistan. What's next?
Well, what's next is really, I think, depends on what Iran wants to do. Iran's foreign minister and entourage went to Pakistan but left before the American contingent could get there, meaning Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and I think perhaps could have been J.D. Vance. But they're now the Iranians went to Russia, and they're, I guess, having a photo op with Vladimir Putin. To what end, I don't know. But the Iranians communicated that if the U.S. would end its blockade, they would stop firing on ships trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz, but that they wouldn't talk about their nuclear program. And I'm pretty sure for President Trump, that's no deal, that he won't even contemplate that. And so we're still in the same place. There seems to be somewhat of a ceasefire ongoing, but I don't know for how long if the Iranians are not going to be serious about this. President Trump means to end their nuclear capabilities once and for all. And the blockade is working. The blockade has prevented Iran from selling and shipping off any of its black market oil. From what we can tell, their oil storage facilities are filled up. They have no more place to store any of the oil they're procuring from the ground, which means they might soon have to stop pumping. Well, if you do that, the wells can can become inert, or they can become damaged. And that would put things in a really bad crimp for the Iranians. 90% of their economy is the oil. They don't really raise cattle or grow wheat or anything like that on the scale that they would need to make it an economic factor for them.
Yeah. So
that's where we're at. I mean, the Americans hold the cards, as President Trump likes to say. But the Iranians have not seriously committed to any kind of deal to address the reasons why the U.S. and Israel have made war against it.
How connected to the looming midterms is the leverage of the Iranians as they play the waiting game?
I don't think it's as connected as some people would like to say that it is. The gas prices are a bit higher than what we want them to be, and that's never fun. But they're not as high as they once was, and we're not seeing and when I mean once was, I mean during the Biden administration. But we're also not seeing a spike in the prices of everything else. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about how expensive eggs are the way we were a few years ago, right? So, ultimately, yeah, this is a bit painful, and myself included. Car seems to take twice the amount of gas they used to take, or I'm just spending twice the amount. But the other side of it is that we are pumping enough oil that we can supply the world. Yes, the price is a bit higher, but that's just due to the demand. We can supply the world and continue to starve out Iran, and eventually they will break. It's just a matter of which contingent of either the government or the IRGC decides to do the breaking. But it's not happening tomorrow.
That's Evan Brown, Fox News Radio, at Fox Evan Brown, joining us on Wake Up Missouri this morning.
How do you think the whole thing with the assassination attempt weighs into, today's news block with the president? He was very upfront with it immediately after the fact.
Well, I think this president has made good capital on his resilience. We saw him pretty quickly after Butler. Yeah, we saw him with a bandage on his ear, but there he was out in front talking in front of crowds again at the convention, right? He was very front and center and out there after the incident at his golf course in West Palm Beach, and we saw him in short order after this. He does that, I think, to show the strength and to show that he's not afraid. And if you're talking about politically, it perhaps maybe makes him a bit more sympathetic because this is the third time someone's tried to kill him and came pretty close. It certainly should infuriate the average American that they can't seem to keep him safe. outside of the White House bubble. But what was interesting to me over all of that is all of these reporters who normally work and live with inside the White House bubble, getting that kind of security essentially for free, didn't know what to do when bullets started flying in their direction. Some of them were in disbelief. They had to be pushed down below their tables to get them to safety. They were objecting at first. They didn't seem to quite understand the gravity of the situation, which kind of goes to show the difference between a reporter who covers crime on the street or war in the war zone and, the people who sit comfortably in the White House.
What's the straw that breaks the camel's back? You said the blockade is working, but we can't do the blockade forever. And it seems like we're really struggling getting the negotiators to the table. What is it that's going to bring them together?
Well, what would bring them to? Well, let's put it this way: no part of the Iranian regime is truly pragmatic. They're mostly dogmatic, and some parts are more dogmatic than the other. The IRGC is perhaps more fanatical than the political leadership, like the foreign minister, who seems to be the point person we've been talking to. But at some point, they will run out of money and run out of the ability to keep the lights on and run out of the ability to feed people. We're still, of course, waiting for the Iranian people to rise up, and they are being rather cautious because they tried that a few months ago, and somewhere 30 to 40,000 of them were killed very quickly. So the people need to feel confident that the government and their forces are weakened enough that they wouldn't be able to punch back. And I think that that's an understandable position for them to take. No one has taken this more on the proverbial chin than the Iranian people. And they have suffered greatly at the hands of this regime going back 47 years. So yes, war, conflict, international conflict, whether it's hot war or it's ceasefire negotiations, these are tests of wills, and someone has to be stronger than the other.
Eben Brown joins us. Eben, I caught a little bit of your the Fox News rundown where you interviewed Roy Altman the other day.
Yes.
And I saw at the same time on another network a polling, sort of a summary of the way the tide has shifted in the American population. It seems all except older conservatives against Israel. What's going on?
Well, if I had to put my finger on it, it probably has to do with the crappy college education most people are getting in this country. The foreign entities that have been wanting to push certain foreign points of view have very well nested themselves within American academia. You've seen what's happened on the college campuses of the more elite universities like the Columbias and the UCLAs and the NYUs and the Princetons and the Harvards and whatnot. But what you also don't realize, because it's not going to get that much play, is that much of that same crap is going on at the rather nondescript state school down the street or even the community college. Yes, the people who go to the Ivy League schools end up with very elite jobs in finance and government and whatnot. But the people who go to the state school and the community college are the people who will come and fix your toilet or fix your cable or whatever the case may be. And that's just as dangerous. And they are being taught some very, very bad things about the state of the world, not just about Israel, but also America's place in the world. And that has led to a shift in sentiment, which, if the older generations really care about their children, should probably be working to counter. And maybe that means you re-examine where you agree to send your kid to school, and how much how much of a check you're willing to write to send them to that school.
Well, it's sort of interesting how the anecdote has become the narrative when you're becoming an anti-Israel, convert, right? Because, yes, did a couple of Israeli soldiers desecrate a statue of Christ in Lebanon? Yes, have there probably been some atrocities against innocent Gazans in a minor way? But why is it the media always highlights those? Not Fox News, of course, but the other media, the legacy media. And they don't highlight the tens of thousands in Iran or the October 7th.
You have a problem with the media in this country where they've all gone to Columbia School of Journalism or whatever the case may be. I keep harping on Columbia, but they're a big culprit here. But it's part and parcel of a larger problem with our news media. Here's a thing. Remember the Trayvon Martin incident?
Yeah.
It goes back many years at this
Of
point. This
course.
has nothing to do with Israel, by the way, but I'll just give you an example. NBC News presented a soundbite of the defendant in the case, George Zimmerman, a recording from the 911 call saying that a man went behind the house, he looks black. Well, they edited out the part in the middle where the real recording, he says the man went behind the back of the house, and the 911 operator asks, can you describe him? Is he black, white, or Hispanic? And then George Zimmerman responds, he looks black.
Yeah.
But the problem now, when they got caught in it, someone got fired over that. But the point is that someone working in media thought it was okay to make that edit.
Yeah. That's sick.
And that's the problem with our media.
It's
We have people who are creating narratives as opposed to reporting fact.
Yeah.
And notice I don't say truth; I say fact. Truth is a philosophical conclusion. Fact are facts. So the point is that our people in the media should be reporting facts. And you'll find, by the way, in my estimation, my experience, that no one reports facts better than the Israeli government. The Israeli government did not hide the fact what their soldiers did when they went rogue in that Lebanese village.
Yeah.
In fact, they were the most upfront about it.
Right.
And so people should be taking that to heart. It's very easy to hate upon Jews in Israel and to marry the two together. It's a very easy thing to do. It's much more brave to think critically of the situation and understand exactly what Israel is fighting for, and why Jews aren't guilty of the crimes you think they are.
Yeah. No.
Anti-Semitism is the worst type of racism. All racism, of course, is bad, but most racism is based on the idea that these other people are a burden to us somehow. But anti-Semitism is the reverse of that. Anti-Semitism puts all the blame of your ills on the Jews.
Yeah.
And if we just got rid of them, everything would be okay for us.
Yep.
It's a very dangerous thing. And in previous generations, it's led to mass deaths, far, far more than who were killed in Gaza these past couple of years.
Yep.
And so the difference now is that there's a state of Israel that is very, very mighty, that doesn't let those things happen.
Yeah. Well, the anti-Semitism, there's nothing new under the sun, is there? It's gone back ages.
No.
Yeah. Eben, as always, thank you for your great reporting on this and analysis, and we look forward to talking with you again. Take care.
You bet.
All right. Eben Brown, Fox News Radio, at Fox Eben Brown. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with Left.
It's
Hey, let's check in with Stephanie on her leftovers. What's going on?
Well, Friday is May 1st, which means we are marching toward the end of legislative session. It's hard to believe. And although they've got a lot done, we are monitoring what is still hanging out there. So although the Senate passed the budget last week, it still has to, I think, go to conference and get figured out. I do think they changed a few things. There was a Senate sub, I believe. And so those things still have to get hammered out. Of course, the budget has an early deadline of May 6th. So they're going to have to get to work on that. But we've also got property tax cuts, child tax credits, restoring some authority to the Secretary of State regarding ballot wording that you recall got struck down by the courts that was passed last year, extending the time childhood sex abuse victims can sue their abusers, limiting social media and technology use among children are just some of the items that are still hanging out there that folks, at least some folks, are hoping get across the finish line. So we're definitely getting into crunch time.
And I know that property tax reform bill. Cindy O'Loughlin was with us on Friday, and she mentioned that Sandy Crawford has that bill and sort of left it as a possibility that there might be some reform coming that way. Right, John?
That's what she said.
Yeah, my other big leftover is, of course, maybe it's already going on. Anyway, the Virginia Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments today on the redistricting map. Of course, they passed that, just last week, and then the court put a hold on the map. So that's big news. They picked up a lot of seats potentially if the courts don't put a stop on it. So I know a lot of folks will be monitoring those, and maybe we'll have an update on how those arguments went for you tomorrow.
That would go from what, 6-4?
I think it was 6-5 to 10-1.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a swing of 4 seats.
And now the question is Florida going to get in the mix? And I think they have called us. I mean, they're rumored to get in the mix and maybe pick up a few. So we'll see.
Karl Rove really was spanking the Republicans for getting involved in this thing this cycle. He said it's been a waste of time. He was really pretty critical of it. And, I think it was spurred on by President Trump. He wanted something to be done, basically to rectify what many would say, isn't it the Bureau of Census or whatever that does that? They've come out and admitted since the 2020 census there were mistakes made that resulted in 4 or 5 seats that should have been GOP. We've reported on that.
And we've got, of course, Attorney General Hanaway's lawsuit over the Census Bureau. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Democrats have been using every trick in the book, and I think they would have done this regardless of how we acted. And so what'd you say last week? You got to fight fire with fire?
Fight fire with fire.
Yeah, we've got some listener reports saying the reports of roofs off in Slater, drain bins torn down and on the highway and some closed roads. Slater, as Randy knows, kind of northwest of Marshall up there from that round of storms that blew through. We don't have this confirmed yet, but that's what a listener tells us.
Thanks for your reporting on that. Drake, what do you have?
All right, well, the Chiefs wrapped up their draft. Yep. I know, we have deadly storms and all that kind of stuff, but the draft still happened. We got a cornerback and a defensive lineman in the first round, another defensive end. The important thing is that we got they got a new quarterback.
What?
Not, backup quarterback.
Yeah,
Garrett Nussmeier. He was projected to be a first-round pick last year before this last season.
Uh-huh.
Apparently he had some medical issues, was injured all the time.
Okay.
He had a cyst on his back that has since been taken out. So might be the next, greatest quarterback that's ever lived.
What school?
LSU.
Okay, well, that's formidable. It's a formidable program. Yeah.
Garrett Nussmeier on the Chiefs.
All right,
Crazy.
There we go. All right. You think Mahomes looking over his shoulder?
I would.
All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of Wake Up Missouri. Stay safe out there. Don't challenge the water over the road, please. It can get you into trouble, even though it doesn't look that deep. It can be swift, and we'll try to swiftly return tomorrow morning.
Bye.